What's going on, people? Guns blazing back at it again. Today we're gonna switch it up from the usual lore content and talk about speed duel / duel links. Don't worry, more lore coming soon for those that are expecting it at the usual pace. And near the end I'll also talk about the possibility of bringing back duel content to my channel for my old subs. So speed duel is a quite new Yu-Gi-Oh format that came out physically this year. A lot of us, including myself, have experienced it already, or a form of it in Duel Links, which I played for about 2 years. Now, some people like the concept of Duel Links and Speed Duel, some don't, and in this video we're going to discuss why. So let's start with the criticisms. A lot of complaints actually come with some of the rule changes, specifically the ones that reduce the size of the board, such as limiting the monster and spell trap zones to 3 instead of 5. A lot of comments I've read over time say this is restrictive and simplifies the game too much. Now, while I do agree that it does limit the total maximum possibilities, it's not suffocatingly restrictive. You still have room for most of what you would have been able to do. To me, I see it a different way. Cutting down from 5 to 3 zones emphasized a different aspect of the game, and that is make use of your space wisely. And by that I mean players who just flood the board mindlessly will get punished. For example, decks with no ways to sack or clear off their own monster zones run the risk of getting locked up. This is a long while back, but an old example would be 2017 Harpies, where since they ran no tribute monsters, a Parasite Infestation Weevil build could easily counter them, with the parasites preventing additional Harpy summons and additional Harpies Hunting Ground activations. The back row is even more important. Filling it up has always been a risk, and cards like Sergeant Electro and Xingjian Hu dominated at certain times because of their ability to pin the back row down. This could prove to be even trickier than back row removal, since the set cards aren't just rendered unusable. Straight up, the space wouldn't even be cleared for new cards to come in. In short, players can't always default to swarming with monsters in back row without considering the risks first. Players had to decide how many back row to set and which back row to set, and as always, decision making is very welcome in card games. Next, lack of main phase 2. Another rule that I see get a lot of heat. But to me, it's yet another example of less doesn't always mean less. Let me explain. Sure, you won't have the flexibility of having another main phase after your battle phase to set quick plays and pop monster effects, but that same restriction opens up yet another dimension of decision making. For quick plays, here's an example. That econ, mass change, or whatever quick play you just drew this turn. Do you keep it in your hand or do you set it? Because you can't have both. You can hold it and potentially go for aggressive or counter-reactive plays in your battle phase, or you can play it safe and set it so that you can react to your opponent on their turn. Now, I'm not going to try to convince you that one rule set is better than the other. People will always have their preferences, and that's okay. I'm just saying they both offer different things, and that the speed duel rule set is just as viable. But the biggest and most frequent complaint that I saw about Duel Links is that it's oversimplified, and hence it isn't like the true game. Now, besides the two things I already mentioned, why else do people think that it's oversimplified? A lot of it is due to the fact that a lot of the newer summons and mechanics have not been introduced to the game yet. It also plays a lot less like the current game, and I'm referring to the long sequenced, fast-paced, sometimes solitaire-like turns that set up near unbreakable boards. Now, regarding the summons, a lot of people ripped on Duel Links for not having the newest summons and mechanics, down-talking it as if having only a few types of summons wasn't literally the norm in the past, and ironically, it's an era that most of them have played in before. Also, it's not like the game is going to stay like that, having only the first few summons available. Some of the newer summons have already been slowly added to the game, and obviously Konami plans to add most, if not all of the summons over time. Now, Duel Links / Speed Duel is nowhere near the pace of the current standard format, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't even aim to be like that, as far as I'm aware at least. The Speed Duel format takes it back to what some may consider the sweet spot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Somewhere between Oonga Boonga Summon One Set One Swing to what we have today. Sure, Duel Links started off really simple, but it got more complex really quickly as it evolved, allowing for a decent ladder and tournament scene that wasn't too slow, wasn't too fast, wasn't too simple, yet wasn't too complicated. Now, I'm not saying it was always like that or it is always like that. It's not perfect. A lot depends on how well Konami balanced it out with their release and ban list choices. which has always been a tough adventure, but for the most part the game balance was decent. And because of the moderate pace and power level, the most important elements of the game get to shine. Interactivity. Players can actually play the game and make the moves they want to make. The opposing player can of course respond, but not to the point where they're just spamming negates and preventing the other player from doing anything. Decision making. Honestly, without the ability to make a few crucial decisions in a duel, what's the point of playing a card game? Just go flip some coins, right? Duel Links, in my opinion, captured the art of decision making for me. Even small choices could have big rewards or consequences. Rarely did the deck just play itself, although of course there were a few exceptions. And with more interactivity and decision making, the more satisfaction a player gets because there's more opportunities to read and outplay their opponents. Now let's talk about a really defining aspect of Duel Links / the speed duel format, and that's the skill system. In my opinion, this is what sets it apart. It adds that spiciness and personality to the game. It also introduces so much variability that, in my opinion, it more than makes up for anything you lose from having less zones, less life points, or less cards in the deck. You could literally take the same deck and it could have a completely different playstyle based on what skill you pair it with. Skills range from having a simple field spell pre-played, to seeing all the face downs, to being able to gamble the entire duel on a dice roll. Rest in peace, Last Gamble. Now I get that some people don't like skills for the fact that they can impact the game so much, but that's also what makes them so entertaining and bolsters the replay value of the game. And to me, there was nothing more satisfying than getting into the lab, creating good combinations of decks and skills, and seeing that deck succeed when it was actually put into a duel. All in all, Speed Duel won't be exactly the same as Duel Links, but here's what you can expect. It'll start off simple, but will progress at a good pace. If it's balanced well, you'll have a format that offers a lot of decision making and player interaction. You can expect a lot of variability, replay value, and creative challenge from trying out your own skill and deck combinations. And last but not least, you'll have something that will eventually catch up to the rest of the game in terms of mechanics and summons, but not necessarily as fast paced in order to keep some of the classic gameplay. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about it for now. If you want to learn more, I'm going to include a link in the description of this video. Do click it if you want to learn more about the Speed Duel format. Now moving on, last month I talked about bringing back duel content to this channel.
Bucky.
I specifically did not say Duel Links though. I know some of you guys say you miss me and my Duel Links days. I miss them too, and I miss you guys too. But like I said before, I no longer have the luxury to play Duel Links every day since I'm busy working on an important project, and it's not something I'm fickle about. It's something I'm all in with. Regardless, I did my best to not abandon my channel. I still upload regularly, it's just not daily regularly like it used to be. It's about every 3 weeks regularly. But, I was thinking, what about bringing back duel content, but with real life duels? This might be the best alternative I can do because I can't keep up with Duel Links. It's not wise to drop 500 a month just to post 1 or 2 Duel Links videos. So the idea is I team up with some friends and we record some speed duels, since it's the same format as the Duel Links content you guys, my subs, are familiar with. Toss in some high quality editing, even some anime-like effects in there, and hopefully produce something watchable. Now I know it won't exactly replace Duel Links content though. I know there's something about getting on the ladder and facing randoms that just adds that spice you won't get anywhere else. But again, it's just an idea. So, subs from the Duel Links days, even the new viewers, let me know what you think. And let's move on to the next thing. Konami sent me a number of packs and structure decks, which I will be opening. Alright, so they actually sent me all 6 of the starter decks. I'm going to be going over a little of what's in each one. Not every single card, but, the things that caught my eye. Start with my boy Kaiba, first of all. So we got Beatdown. This is almost straight out of Duel Links. Basically, it gives you a 300 attack boost for every level 5 or higher monster that you control. And you'll notice that they gave the boy the Lord of D flute combo very early into the format. I mean, it's just like starter deck Kaiba back in the day, but also you got this new skill, Dragon Collar. This was not in Duel, but basically it makes a Lord of D flute deck pretty consistent because as long as you get Lord of D, you can add flute from your deck to your hand. Or you can reveal flute and add Lord of D to your. Pretty crazy that they're gonna allow that to be that consistent. Of course, they hooked you up with a couple of big dragons, Blue Eyes and Tyrant Dragon. You got Champion's Vigilance, you got that Champion's Vigilance. This is interesting because this was a problem card back in Duel Links. They actually had to limit this to 1. As far as I know, there are no limits in Duel Links right now, which means that if you went ahead and picked up 3 of these, you could pretty much negate everything. Stamping Destruction, so back row removal does exist at this early stage. You also got your Kaiba Man as an alternate way to summon your Blue Eyes White Dragon. This skill from Yami Yugi really caught my eye. It's called Final Draw, and basically after a set amount of turns you can be like, okay, I'm gonna draw any one card from my deck, but you pretty much have to win the duel that turn, otherwise you'll lose the duel, which is kind of wild. Of course, you got your Dark Magician Girl, 2 searchers for him. Blue Dragon Summoner can also search Blue Eyes. You got your Dark Magician support cards. Ryoku, this wreaked some havoc back in the early days of Duel Links. And of course you got iconic 7 Tools and Magic Jammer. Like I said, they always start off very simple, but it's nothing that you can't have fun with, you know? Oh, my boy Joey Wheeler, the memories, dude. So we got Grit. They changed it a little from back when it was in Duel Links, but I'll let you read that if you want. Go back and pause it if you want. But I still got, it's actually the unnerfed version, where you could do it at the start of turn 5 rather than wait until turn 7, and you send them to the grave. Then you pretty much, you roll a dice, and whatever you get on that dice, you get to draw that many cards. But you already know how it works, come on. You've seen that. Typical Joey anime cards, Red Eyes Black, Gearfried the Iron Knight, and you got some more removal, but it's, you know, it's RNG based. Joey just loves that RNG, baby. Kunai with Chain. This was released pretty late into Duel Links, I'd say, but they're releasing it at the start here, which is interesting. You've also got Red Eye Spirit, but although this was really effective and meta for a long time in Duel Links, there's not a lot of other Red Eye support or Red Eyes archetype cards that would really make this useful at the moment. My starter has both Harpies and Amazonas in it, and she's even got this tribal synergy skill, which means that you could actually combine those archetypes and it would be somewhat synergistic. But I'm not going to get into all of that right now. So basically, Birdface, the Harpy Searcher, as well as all of your basic Amazonas cards. Yep. There's the Sisters, Elegant Egotist. And they start you off with not the vanilla Harpy, but Harpy Lady 1, 2, and 3. And it's kind of weird that they didn't give her a skill that starts this off on the field yet. But we'll see. Now this is interesting because Windstorm of Itaqua is limited to 1 in Duel Links. Well, it's not, it's soft limited because you can only get 1 copy from leveling up your characters, and to get another copy is really rare. But hands down, a very useful defensive back row. No doubt you'll be seeing a lot of this early on. So as for Pegasus, you got, of course, it's a Toon World skill. It's pretty much Toon World. It starts you off with it in your zones at the start of the duel. So you don't actually have to put a Toon World in your deck. You could if you wanted to back it up maybe, but usually once Toon World is destroyed, they destroy all your toons anyway, so it's pretty hard to come back at that point anyways. Millennium Eye is also interesting because if you know Restart from Duel Links, basically you could see your opening hand, you could choose whether to reshuffle it back and draw a new hand. But with this one, you look at your opponent's hand instead and you basically choose whether, you know, oh, that hand's too good, boy. Go ahead and draw a new one, you know? Mind Scan, that one's from Duel Links, and you know, people would think that I was hacking whenever I used it because you actually get to see your opponent's face downs, which is, in my opinion, one of the most busted things you can do in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel. But it does have its limitations. Of course, he's got all the basic Toon cards, Toon Table, Toon Rollback as well, plus Relinquished. No searchers for him yet, though, unless the booster pack has them. I forgot if they... Of course, I can't forget about Thick Shizu, my first Yu-Gi-Oh! waifu. I don't want to get too much into it though. It's pretty much just all the Gravekeeper's cards. Not all of them, but a wide variety of them. We got Blast Held and Rite of Spirit as well. Yeah, I actually didn't know that. Like, I never flipped over a skill card yet. That's kind of wild. Anyways, these are the rest of the variant cards that come along with the starter deck. So you got Shard of Greed. They're pretty much ultra rares. You got Shard of Greed. No, this was big in Duel Links back in the day because there was pretty much no way to really remove it that was worth it. Back in the day. Golden Apples, which is a pretty potent effect, but I don't see much decks that can really make use of this right now. It's a nice defensive card. Mimicat, Amazonas Village. That's definitely going to be a staple in the current Amazonas decks, and Fusion Gate. Although I would say like the fusion pool right now is pretty booty. I wouldn't see. I really don't see people running fusions right now. And these are the only 3 cards that I found were worth it to even mention from all 12 of the booster packs I got. Not gonna show each individual pool. This is not a pack opening channel. I literally only got 1 super rare. That's it, and it's Sword of Dragon Soul. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to watch through this video. I hope you found it informative in some way. And yeah, thank you Konami again for sending these over. Subs, let me know what you think about that thing that I talked about at around 7:45 in this video. Apart from that, not really much else to talk about. Oh, I will also give you guys an update on my video game, how the development's been going by the end of the month, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, that's it. So as always guys, have yourselves a good one, and this is Guns Blazing, signing out.
And don't you stop the music, get into it, won't you dance with me? Find a place and lose it, you can do it, won't you dance with me?